Hello and welcome to my brand new podcast. I'm Nicky Raby and I'm thrilled that you're joining us. I do lots of things. I'm an actor, coach, writer, speaker and a mum. And in my coaching work, I work with creatives, personal brands, freelancers and small businesses. In this podcast, I want to talk about success, but not in the traditional sense. I want to bring you conversations that discuss success, what it means, and how there are many different versions. We're going to be talking about business, branding, becoming visible, saying no, saying yes, and how you can create a thriving portfolio career doing more of what you love and less of what you don't. Sometimes there can be a certain mystery around the online world, so I'm going to be asking my guests how they started and grew, how they get paid, how they stand out, and how they create success on their terms. As always, please check the show notes for all things we mention and come and say hi over on social media at Nicky Raby or via my website nickyraby.com/podcast. In today's episode, I'm talking to Silvia del Corso, who is a search engine optimization and digital marketing freelancer living in London. And she works with small business owners and freelancers and helps people to take care of their SEO in their website. And as the internet is so busy, this is really essential. But if, like me, you're listening to it and thinking, I'm not really sure what it is or what I need to do, in the episode, Silvia shares some really fantastic tips and also talks about her tricky journey up until now. I think you'll find it really inspiring. I love talking to Silvia. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Hi, Silvia. How are you? Thank you so much for joining me.
Good morning. I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you so much for calling.
Oh, you're so welcome. I'm really excited to speak to you. So before we kick off, I would love to hear a little bit more about what you do and who you are. And so if people aren't familiar with your work, they can get to know you better.
Great. Thank you. I'm a search engine optimization specialist. This means that I help website owners to get the best possible organic traffic from Google, helping their websites being better ranked for the right keywords, which means that it's not just the keywords with the highest traffic, but the more targeted, the more relevant to what they actually do, to their real niche, persona and target. So, well, I work with many kind of different business owners. They are basically freelancers and small business owners. I am a mompreneur myself, so I find I can relate very, very well with mompreneurs because I can feel we can share the same kind of struggles, feelings, emotions, so we can connect with each other and understand each other very well, and it happens some kind of very good relationship in the end with all my clients so far.
Fantastic. And you were just telling me earlier that you've only been in the UK for a year. So did you, when you were back in Italy, did you have your business there and then transfer it, or is this a new business for you?
It's not new at all. In Italy, I used to run my own digital agency. It was a small digital agency, but it was something that I really loved. It was a family-owned business because my husband is a developer, one of the tech wizards. He can really program anything. And we built up this small office with some friends, tech guys, developers, marketing people. So it was a very young environment, always full of fun and laughter. It's been something that I regretted to have to leave because we really built it from scratch, from every single stone of it, from choosing the office, choosing the furniture, all the second-hand furniture, but imagining how it would have been, and then it was completely something else because, I don't know if you're truly aware of what is the situation in Italy in this moment, because it's really not like what we can read in the newspapers or sometimes what we see in TV. It's unfortunately much, much worse. I came from the northwestern part of Italy, that's Tuscany, near to Pisa, Florence. It was a very, very nice small village on the seaside, and everybody always asks me, why did you move then?
Especially as we're recording this in a cold, damp January.
Yeah, it's so great. But, well, I don't really regret. I haven't been regretting coming here for just for a second, because, well, I've been welcomed here with so much warmth, even if it's not warm outside. But I found people around me here have always been so warm and dear and welcoming. I can just say that's been the best choice I could have ever done. But
it's really good to hear, certainly, because I think sometimes when you start your own business or when you make a leap, and I hear it from my clients a lot, sometimes there can be that fear that they're not going to be accepted, that everybody else knows what they're doing and you're the one who's still figuring it out. So that's really refreshing to hear that you've been supported through this journey. And how has it been setting up a new phase of your business here in the UK?
It took some courage, because closing the agency was very, very sad for me. I had to close it because we had been waiting for clients to come into that nice office for a long time. But, well, companies are closing, they are firing up their employees because they just can't be paying their bills, taxes. So they really can't think of investing in any kind of marketing, even if it would be helpful for their business to grow, but they can't pay their bills, so they can't really invest on anything. But so we just kept hoping. We got a lot of experience through the worst kind of environment. I keep thinking of the song, if I can make it there, make it everywhere, because if we really managed to do it in such a difficult situation, I've learned from the toughest school of business.
Yeah.
Really, because I made mistakes when you're billing, when you're pricing, or when you're dealing with clients. You're inexperienced, so you just don't think of the hours you spend on projects. You just put all your passions, and in the end you can't pay your bills. So yeah, I've learned in the harder way through my mistakes, but I'm kind of thankful for this, even if it's been a bit sad. And when I moved here in the beginning, I couldn't really think of being an entrepreneur in my own business anymore, because I mean, the wound was still too fresh. Yeah. And I tried applying for jobs in digital marketing and SEO, but I have two children. I have a son, Lorenzo, he is 9, and a daughter, Elisa, she's 6. And even if they're not really newborn, they experienced an expatriation, and it was really not light for them, even if they love it being here and they've had the most amazing teachers and classmates and friends. We couldn't really hope for anything better, even if I spent really countless nights without sleeping, just terrified of how it would have been. It was amazing, but it was tough. It was quite a big leap. My son especially is a very shy guy and timid, and it was, I think, he's also a bit older. It was, I think, harder for him than for his sister. She just doesn't really care. Her teacher kept telling me, your daughter keeps talking to me in Italian, even if she knows I can't understand Italian, but she just doesn't care. She keeps
She's got her own story going on.
She's really like a bulldozer. She never stops on anything.
Oh, well, I would love to know about that resilience that you clearly have. I speak to a lot of business owners, and sometimes, well, through the nature of it, that your business journey, however successful you are, it does have peaks and troughs. You do have busy times and quieter times, and then you have times where you really have to pivot or change direction, or just go in a way that perhaps you weren't ready for, or you didn't think would happen. Were there any tools that you used to get through that process of things being hard and having and that kept coming up again and again, in terms of just stuff that you came back to through the difficult times?
Well, basically, this is a dream, and I decided to follow it again because, as I was saying, I tried to be employed, but there was no chance I could find an employment that let me stay next to them. And for myself, this is a priority, to be next to them. So every time I feel I am struggling and things are not easy enough, I keep telling myself that I'm doing this for two main reasons. For myself, because this is something I really love doing, and having my own business is something that's given to me so much more satisfaction than not being working for somebody else, because this is my own business, my clients, I am helping them, and I feel this is so much more enriching for me, and because it's a continuous experience and I'm growing every second. I'm doing something new, and think I'm somebody who likes doing more or less the same things, like some kind of reassuring habits, but now everything is new and I love every second of it, even if sometimes I really tremble and I'm shaking for fear, but I just dive into the unknown, and I love it because I'm having a lot of good experiences. I do for them because I can organize my time more or less as I need to, because I can work when they're at school. Sometimes I end up working when they are sleeping at night, something that I should not be doing because I should be sleeping more, and this is one of my main goals for 2018.
Yeah, me too.
Yes, having healthier habits, really, because I need to think of sleeping more and to taking some time for myself. When I decided to rebrand, basically the business, it was September. I was attending the Moms Enterprise, and I was actually looking for some kind of idea how to work and fit it with the kids. And I just thought, why don't I just try to restart? And in the very same second I thought of it, I was terrified and excited. And it was such a powerful emotion that I said, okay, I want to chase it. I want to follow it, because it's really something almost tangible, touchable. You can feel this energy. And in a few minutes later, I thought of the name, because SEO sometimes is thought as if it was something very male dominated. So because there are so much more men doing it than women, it's something sometimes that scares women off, because it's got to do a little bit with coding, a big bit with analytics and data, and so it's not just opinion based, but it's really, really data based.
Yeah, I would love for you to break that down for me, and just firstly tell me and tell others listening what it is and why it's important, just in its simplest form, would be really useful, I think.
Oh, yeah. Well, it is important because now the competition for any kind of website is huge. No matter what your website is about, there are millions, billions, more or less the same as yours. And at the same time, the difference you get in business, in traffic, in leads, sales, conversions, opportunities, if you get one or two good results in the first page of Google for the right keywords, or if you don't have it, the difference is immense. So it becomes necessary. You really just can't hope you're going to get traffic by chance, because it's not going to happen, or you're going to have traffic that you really don't want to, because it's not related to what you really aim to be focusing about. So if you can get to receive the right traffic for the really important keywords for your business, then basically you're driving clients to your door. And it's something that really every kind of website owner should aim to, because having a website and not trying to optimize it is really like having the nicest kind of shop but with no road leading to it. So you did the best kind of shop, but no one can find it. There's no door, there's no way to reach you organically. I mean, and it's a big loss.
With a bizarre, because I do take a look at my analytics, and it's quite interesting to see what my popular posts are. And there's a post that I wrote maybe 4 years ago or 3 years ago, about, I think it's called something like, are you a planner or a crammer? So sometimes people can feel like they are waiting to have that spontaneous urge that is going to kickstart them into action. And it's an okay piece, it's an okay blog, but I think it must be to do with the keywords that I have within that drives the traffic. Because when I look at my analytics, it always seems to be a red post, even though I don't repurpose it or promote it through Twitter. So that's been quite interesting for me to notice in that way. So how would we understand what our own keywords are?
Well, first of all, you need to have very clear idea of what is your main business proposition. From there, we start analyzing the search engine results pages. There are some professional tools that let you find the right keywords for any kind of service or product. With right keywords, I don't mean just the ones with a higher traffic. I also mean the ones with the lower competition, because sometimes people just aim for the higher traffic, but sometimes it's impossible to achieve it. So from my experience as an SEO professional for a long time, I've got to suggest my clients some keywords that are really achievable and as much focused as possible. So I will try and make an example. If you're selling trainers and you're just trying to rank on the search engine results page with shoes, you will never get it, because the competition is immense. The traffic would be immense, but when you just type shoes, it can mean anything to your user. It can be just people looking for inspiration, for the latest trend, for any kind of thing related with shoes. If you get a longer tail and you start adding elements like white shoes of this brand, maybe this size, you see, the longer the tail, the more ready is the user and the more ready is the search intent to be ready to become a conversion into a purchase. Because when somebody is just typing shoes or white shoes, they're basically just into their inspiration phase. They're just basically looking for some kind of new models. What would I like to get? When they are looking for some very specific kind of term, they basically have their credit card on the table next to the mouse and they are ready to purchase something. So if they find you instead of your competitor with that keyword, you are going to get the sale if your website is good enough.
Yeah.
And this is
so true. The amount of times where we're so limited on time and we get impatient about things. So any way that we can make our business work for us better, or other businesses to be more easily purchased from, it's just going to make it, you're more likely to guarantee the sale, aren't you?
Yeah, something that I really like is that SEO now is becoming much more ethical, if you want to call it like this, much less manipulative. Now, one of the latest developments in the algorithms, they always keep changing, but now there is this machine learning system that's called the rank brain, and it's really like some kind of artificial intelligence which is learning from ourselves as Google users. So it's got some kind of metrics it considers as criteria for quality, high quality or low quality of a site. Basically, Google wants to give their users the best possible user experience as a search engine. So it wants people to find sites they're really good, and if they track your users' performance on your site, and if they notice they don't appreciate what they find on your site, and I will tell you now how do they realize this, your site will lose ranking. If this algorithm notice that they have a good user experience on your site is going to get better and better ranking.
Right.
This criteria is lovely because it's really the way to marry together the user experience and the SEO. And for example, some of the bad quality, bad experience can be, for example, the bounce rate. This is something that you can check. Any business website owner can check from their own Google Analytics and Google Search Console. It used to be called Webmaster Tools, now it's Search Console. They're free tools. I've got to realize that many website owners don't even know what they are about, and I really, really suggest all of them to at least get familiar with them, because they cost nothing and they can give a wealth of information about, even to get to know what your traffic is about. So where does it come from? Which are the sources? How much time do they spend on the site? If they come more from a mobile or from a desktop? And a lot of information, the country they come from, the keywords they type. And bounce rate is one of the things that's getting measured, and it means if somebody bounces off your site. This means probably that they found your site with a keyword that's not really relevant with what your page is about. So it's just giving a bad experience. It means that the page is not good enough for the clients to stay on it, and Google really doesn't like it.
That's really interesting, because actually knowing where people are coming from and what is resonating and whether that customer is your target customer will help you to spend your time more effectively, because I guess there's no point focusing all your attention on Instagram for business if it doesn't convert to a customer or engagement.
Definitely, because well, there is not one unique recipe that's good for everyone. One size fits all kind of businesses. Every single business has got their target, their niche, their persona, and they resonate differently with the different media. So you basically need to measure and to consider not opinions but data, and to see what is driving traffic to you, what is not, if it's not, why, and to decide to invest your time, since we all have very limited time.
Absolutely. Well, what we'll do is we'll put those free tools in the show notes, because that would be really useful as a starting point for people, just to get to know those free tools and then seek further advice to really optimize those. I think that would be really useful. I wanted to also ask you a few quick fire questions, just to get to know you most, just to get to know you more. And so just say the first thing that comes to your head. I would love to hear that. So when you get stuck, or when you don't know what you're doing, or maybe you doubt it, how do you get your motivation back on track?
Basically, I have my own personal life coach as my husband.
Yeah, brilliant.
He is a very, very patient man. I keep saying that we are complementary, because I'm so full of angles, and he is so very round and patient. And he is very analytical, and I'm much more emotional. So he always gives me the logical, analytic view of things. When I just see things overwhelmed by my emotions, he just shows me how things are. As a coder, he just can see A, B, C, and that's much easier for me, because he gives me a different perspective of things, and sometimes I get so annoyed with him, because I try to make him mad, and he never gets mad, and this makes me mad, even mad.
And it's so funny, isn't it, with partners or people who are close to us? They just know us so well, and sometimes they can just say something and you think, oh, I know that that's the right thing to do. I get it, but I don't want to hear it. It's it's a tricky thing. How do you celebrate your success?
With family, because that's the first thing that comes into my mind. We just celebrate like silly here at home. It's basically because we don't have much more. Here we the four of us, and we are a strong, united bunch. So we tend to spend our time together as much as we can, and to cherish it, because for us it's precious.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. Do you have any tools or resources that you just couldn't live without?
I have plenty of professional tools I couldn't live without. Some of them are deadly expensive, and you really need to have some kind of professional stuff, because the difference is so much more. Just if you have to do everything manually, it would take forever. Instead, when you're analyzing and launching your tools, they give you in a matter of few seconds the situation, and then you can start evaluating from there. But you really need to see things clearly to understand, for example, why some kind of site is not ranking, is not getting traffic. So you analyze it, and you get to know that they just didn't do a couple of things. They are so important, because usually, and I've been working with developers very closely, they don't know anything about SEO. So they build amazing websites, very beautiful websites, but they don't really think of optimizing them. So you need to, when you analyze them, you then need to get to tell what to be fixing, and then the difference is really easy to be seen without not much time, because when you fix what was holding you back, and you get to analyze it, it's like assessing somebody's health. I mean, yeah, you see that something is not is preventing you from being seen, because basically Google's robots, they just scroll sites and get to find what your site is about. They don't see it, so they need to see what your site is about as if it was a book. Yes. They need to see when you take a book in your hands, you read the main pages, you read the index, you read through the pages, but if you don't give Google this kind of information on what is your site is about in the points, it is going to search for it, like the headers, for example. Sometimes developers use the headers just for some kind of formatting way, but they are meant for totally another purpose. They are telling Google what the site is about. Sometimes I find websites, they have a conclusion, yes, the word conclusion in a header, and you can't have a website that's telling to Google it is about conclusions. It's about something, and Google cannot guess it. So yeah, you really need to be clear and to be found.
And that's a really good point that you've made about finding those things that you don't know about as a business owner, because I know myself throughout my training and building my brand that I've invested thousands of pounds into my own development and getting people to and paying people to help me to do the things that I'm not very good at, because I think sometimes there's that pressure, especially as a freelancer or when you're first starting out, that you should know everything. And sometimes it's easier to pay somebody who can do this kind of work in their sleep, and rather than you spending 4 days on YouTube trying to figure it out. And I have done that as well with various things, but I know now I need to use my time and my efforts much more efficiently. Are there any books that you've read recently, or any books that you always come back to that have been really useful in your business journey?
Well, I've been reading through my Christmas holidays one book that I really, really suggest to everybody. That's Don't Make Me Think, and it's from Steve Krug. It's been re-edited, I think, maybe for the third time. And it's one of the best books about how to make life easier to your users. So Don't Make Me Think really is about letting your users find everything without having to think. So they just face your site and they find things so easily, and they're just at their reach. Sometimes instead we need to be searching for things and we don't understand where they are, what they are for. Basically, I keep thinking that making people happy is our main strategy as business owners. So if we can give them the best possible experience, they are likely to come back, because they will find useful stuff, they will find it easy, they may have the chance for smiling and for finding some real stuff that's going to help their lives just within the search intent, but you're really being helpful to them, and they will feel gratitude to you. Every time you give something, you get back much more. So it's the basic concept of the virality. So they suggest what you do if they find it so pleasant. So making them happy, making their life easier is our main goal, I think.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. And sometimes when we're first starting out, we can feel like we should overcomplicate the process or over deliver, and actually just keeping things simple is much easier on the client. And finally, I would like to ask you where you'd like to be in 5 years' time.
Well, I think I would like to restart opening an agency because, yeah, it's some kind of very ambitious dream, but having to close mine, I've never really accepted it. So
Yeah.
one part of myself wants to rebuild the dream and to show that it's possible, that it can be achieved. As a challenge, basically, because I'm particularly very, very propense on challenges. I started university basically because my mom told me, no, you will never be able to go to university. We don't have enough money. So I wanted to do university, and I did it all with my with scholarships. And when things seem to be difficult, I tend to keep thinking of them and to find a way around them. So, well, in 5 years, I would like to be opening it again. I think I'm sure I will still be here. We are buying a house, wow, and yeah, I'm keeping all my fingers and toes closed. So yes, we will be here. We are building all our life here, and we are loving every second of it. It's kind of terrifying to think of the unknown and to think that you never know what's going to be expecting. But yeah, I see it very positively, very very brightly. So yes.
Fantastic. And I'm sure after listening to all your words of wisdom, people would love to find out more. So where should they go? I'm going to write it all in the show notes, but if there's a particular place that you'd like to talk about, please do so.
My website. I love writing, and my website is pink.seo.marketing, and in my website there is the blog session, and I love be writing articles. They are informative for people because I love giving them some kind of training. One of the things that I love doing is coaching and training business owners, not just doing hands-on campaigns myself, but assisting them to get to know how SEO works for their site, because sometimes they realize they really like to do it themselves. Digital marketing is something that I've seen that most business owners like very much, and they truly know their business. They can get to know how to do at least some kind of basic checklist that they need to be doing, not very, very time consuming, because there's one of the sessions that I'm going to launch as soon as I have a bit of time, I hope very soon, and it's the minimum viable SEO, and it's really telling people that you can get some very good results investing a small amount of time over for example, the beginning of the month, the beginning of the week. So you can really calculate a small amount of time dedicated to this, and you're going to get some good results. Then if they decide they just don't like it or they don't have time for it, then they can decide to ask somebody to do it for them. But that's going to be their own choice. It's like empowering them to take their own decisions, giving them the possibility of choosing. And that's something that I really, really love, empowering people to decide to take their own decisions for SEO and for any other thing in life.
Fantastic. So, thank you so much for for sharing so many good nuggets. I feel like I want to just spend the day now doing lots of geeky analytics stuff behind the scenes. Thank you for your time and sharing what you have to offer. As I do every week, I'll be sharing all the details in the show notes. And if you want to follow Silvia across social media, where should they go?
Well, they can find me on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, basically all of them, because I'm a very, very social person, networking events, talking events. You find Pink SEO all over the the social media, then they will find your links. But yeah, it's kind of easy to be found. Pink because yeah, it's something that women to women been doing. It's not just working with women, but it's not so often that you see women in SEO. So I wanted to highlight this.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I have loved speaking to you, and thanks everyone for listening. If you'd like to rate and review the podcast, I would love that very much, and please subscribe so you get notified of a new episode as and when it's released. I will see you again very soon. Thanks everyone. Bye. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it, and I would love to hear what you thought of the episode and share any takeaways with me. Come and find me across social media at Nicky Raby, or you can visit the podcast page, nickyraby.com/podcast.